All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Some of you we've been talking to for quite some time. Some of you know us. With some of you here, I see that we've spoken when the regional center program was still on. So today we're going to talk about direct EB5, what the difference is between direct and regional center. We're going to talk also reasons as to why you should do direct EB5 now. We're also then going to tackle a couple of questions that we see out there, such as, the structure of the project in direct EB5, what works, what doesn't work, type of thing. And also we're going to talk about our two projects, two direct EB5 projects. We have Evan Stupler and David Finkelstein here. David Finkelstein is the CEO and the founding member of American Immigration Group. And you have Evan, who is a founding member of George Washington Immigration. So we have created, we've come together and came out with the Veterinarian Project, Your Vet. Most of you probably have seen it. That project basically is in collaboration between American Immigration Group and George Washington Immigration Group. So we're going to have Evan talk to you a little bit about why this project is good. Why is it that we decided to go into this project? And then I'll talk about the Great Greek project here with David. David is going to talk to you a little bit about the structure as well. And why is it that this structure actually works for direct EB5? Now, to start off, I just want to tell you a little bit about, historic, I want to give you a historic overview of EB5, right? So the EB5 direct was created in 1990. And the EB5 direct is a permanent program. So it's always been there and it's always going to be there. It's law. Then you have the EB5 regional center, which started a couple of years later, a couple of years after EB5 direct, and it was a pilot program. And it continued to stay a pilot program. It was just extended every time there was a budget review or the Congress passed the budget. So after a while, basically, the industry really pushed into making the regional center a permanent program. And the first step towards it was USCIS kind of going back and saying, all right, but we need to make some changes into this program because it doesn't work anymore. So if you have seen basically, if you have followed the EB5, you would know that in 2019 in November, the EB5 program changed. The TEA designations changed, so the targeted employment areas changed, and the price was up to 900,000. To make a long story short, on a technicality, basically, a judge decided to bring the program back to 500,000 and the old TEA designations. So this happened basically this year. Then right after that, we basically saw that Congress did not reauthorize the regional center program because at $500,000, we believe that it just didn't make much sense. You have other programs out there that are much more expensive than the US. So just to keep up with inflation, the amount would have to be increased because it's been $500,000 since the beginning. Now, there is this timeline now between now and whenever Congress takes action into reauthorizing the regional center program, that EB5 is still at 500. but only through direct. Now, direct EB5 is a bit different from regional center EB5. The first and most important thing or difference that you have to understand is job creation. So in a regional center project, jobs are created based on expenses, right? Hard costs, there are indirect jobs, there are induced jobs, there's all kinds of ways to count these jobs. In direct EB5, the jobs are basically, they have to be there. These are W-2 jobs, they are absolute jobs. There is actual people who need to be working there full-time on payroll. So this is the main difference and what makes it hard for direct EB5 to be kind of the kind of program where you could put 100 investors into a project, right? But it also makes it hard to find an industry or a business that actually can create and maintain those 10 jobs for the amount of time that the investor would need. So what happens here is that you need to show that your money creates and maintains 10 W-2 jobs. Now, not many industries can do this. And we've spent a really long time trying to figure out where or what we could develop that, first of all, complied with all the rules, right? That would do good, would be a good business, even in a targeted employment area. And most importantly, would be able to create 10 jobs. It would need 10 jobs, right? Because if it doesn't need at least 10 jobs, and you just put in there that, yeah, I'll maintain 10 jobs. If things happen and the business is going through a financial difficulty, jobs are the first ones to go. So you don't want that. You want a business that actually needs these jobs to operate, right? So we have spent quite a long time trying to structure and trying to find industries that would be able to support this. And not just industries, but particular concrete brands that would be able to support this. Not every restaurant out there is going to need 10 employees, right? Not every industry out there that you could invest in is going to need 10 employees per investor. I'm talking per investor. So this is the main issue here. Now, before, we've heard during the regional center program that construction is very important, right? A project has to be under construction. And that was because jobs were being created by construction. That does not happen now. If you know anything about our two projects, basically we have the Great Greek and your vet, they're going to have construction. There is going to be building because we need to build these places according to specific requirements, right? For a veterinarian clinic, it needs to become a clinic. For a restaurant, it needs to become a restaurant. But this does not count as job creation. It just doesn't, because direct EB5, the jobs are absolute. And that is very important. Now, another thing I need to clarify here is the structure, the investment structure of the EB5, right? And I think David here could really be helpful in explaining to us why is it that we went with an ownership structure versus, you know, a preferred equity or a loan like it used to be in the regional center. DF?
Yes, I'll be happy to try to go through that. First, hello, everybody. I'm glad to be part of this webinar and invite you all, hopefully, to see more about our project. We're very excited about it. But what Q is, I'm going to refer to her as Q because everybody does. So you feel free when you talk to her, just call her Q. She likes that. Everybody knows Q. All right, in any case, American Immigration Group has been involved with regional center program now for probably over 12 well, 12 years, 15 years that I've been involved, American Immigration Group has been around since like 8 years, 2013, right, Q?
Yes.
Okay. In any case, our entire experience in the past has been regional center. Regional center opens up a new commercial enterprise. Investors invest into it, and then that NC is used as a fund to fund into a project and make a loan. That's the basics of how regional center works. Contrary to that, in direct can't make a loan. Direct have to bring the investors in where they're buying equity, investing equity into the job creating project. And that's the big difference. We checked around the marketplace to see what was going on. And like you mentioned, we found a lot of discrepancies into comparing to what the actual regulations are and what other people were bringing to the market. There were plenty of projects that were just offering a preferred return, didn't even talk about equity. Well, if that's the case, unfortunately, investors getting into projects like that are going to find out that they will be denied. They're not going to get their green card. So we looked at it very carefully, and we decided to structure our direct projects whereby the investor is buying equity in the actual project itself, the job creating project. And we also came to the realization that it's very unfair that investors are putting in all this money, and we look around and we see they're getting paid 1%, 2%. I think we've seen 3%. We right away jumped to 15% and said, we have to try to return to investors 15%. And once we came out with that and explained how we're doing it, why our project is able to do it, we found very, very strong demand into our projects. So we feel that they're structured in a way that they check every box for direct regulations. And I think that Q will go into now a little bit more about the projects themselves. But we're very proud to say that we spent a lot of time to structure our projects really to benefit the investor, the EB5 investor, on a return, and for them to safely get approved for their visa. So we welcome you to it. We welcome all the questions, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, DF. So to piggyback on what David just said, you have to understand the value of a provider or a sponsor like us when bringing this opportunity out there. You have teams of people who are working for you, right? They're going out there and they're finding, the most important thing, locations, right? How do you find a location that is, one, compliant with EB5, right? It's a TA. And at the same time, it makes for good business. The amount of market research that goes into picking that selection, the amount of people that actually have to work into finding that location, negotiating the lease, negotiating the terms of it, to finally bring it and go in, design, do all of that stuff, it takes a lot of work. You then have, there is another challenge here, right? Employment, hiring these people. You need a recruiting team. You need an HR department to make sure they are onboarded by law, right? To make sure that you attract people. Right now, people are looking for job security. It's changed tremendously after the well, we're still in a pandemic, but basically it's changed tremendously since pandemic, where people just want more job security. They want a different type of environment when they work. in order to give you their loyalty, in order to stay with you. And that is something that we can do, right? When you have an HR department, we can deal with these employees, we can actually work with them, we can make, we have a customer experience and an employee experience person that can actually work through these challenges so that we don't have to go through people quitting or not being able to find people. So this is another issue out there that you need to understand. Our value into these two projects is not only structuring them to be EB5 compliant, right? It's not only bringing all of this together, bringing all the people together, being approved by a franchise, because you might think, oh, I can go do my own restaurant. It's not that easy. First and foremost, you'll have to be approved by the franchisor, right? The franchisor doesn't just approve anyone. They really want to believe that that restaurant that you're going to open is going to be successful, because they don't want to have restaurants that open and close all the time, right? So we had to create a team of operator, like an operator that's going to manage and oversee everything besides the staff that you have in each location, to be able to be approved, right? Finding the location, making sure it's a TA. We have an economist that is engaged to do this stuff. So it's not that easy. Besides that, we are the ones who are going to hire people, comply in terms of HR, comply in terms of EB5, really make sure that it complies all the time. We are the ones who are putting the name in a franchise agreement that is like for 20, 30 years, right? After your conditional period, you have the option to get out. This comes down to us. It comes down to us maintaining this, because you know what happens if you close a restaurant and you have signed a franchise agreement for 20, 30 years, you are going to have to pay royalty fees for 20, 30 years. So we need to make this successful. We are standing shoulder by shoulder with the investors out there. We're doing all the work initially. We're not getting paid for all the work, for all these teams that we're bringing on. So we're standing right there with you, and we cannot make money, make profits from these projects if you do not. If it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work for us either. So the risk we're putting into here is a lot of upfront expense, a lot of upfront work that has to be done by us to actually make this work before you even come in, and continues even after you leave. So that is basically the difference between us doing this and you just going and opening a restaurant, because someone has to run that restaurant while you're waiting for your I-526 to be approved. Someone has to deal with the everyday work of it. Someone has to be able to replace your restaurant manager if he decides to quit. So all of this stuff comes from us, because remember, you have to maintain those jobs, right? You have to maintain those jobs. Same goes for the veterinarian clinics. Now, the veterinarian clinics are not a franchise, right? This is a new business. This is something that is being built from ground up by Evan here and David Finkelstein, and the two chief medical veterinarian doctors that have more than 40 years of experience in this as veterinarian practitioners. So I'm going to actually have Evan talk to you a little bit about the veterinarian clinics project, so that you can understand what is it that made Evan really think, okay, this is a business I want to be in. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk to you more about the Great Greek. But just before we get there, I want to mention a couple of things about direct EB5 that are very, very attractive right now. First and foremost, the applications are being approved faster. What we're hearing all over the industry is that because the regional center has been put on hold, the only applications right now being processed by USCIS are direct EB5. And what has happened is that the majority of all EB5 that has ever happened has been on the regional center. There was never a time when us, the providers, where, okay, we're able to just go out there and say, you know what, we're going to focus on direct, because it is much more work for us, and than it is to do regional center. So basically what is happening now is you're getting applications only on direct EB5. You're not getting any applications on the regional center, and therefore these direct EB5s are being approved or are projected to be approved much faster. So this is a really good thing. And also, by the time the regional center comes up, we don't know what's going to happen on December 3rd. There is different opinions out there as to if this is going to change, if this is going to go back to 900, if this is going to just go up to 750,000. We don't exactly know what's going to happen. We're going to have to wait for December 3rd to happen. But once the regional center is reauthorized, we are almost certain that the EB5 program will change. It will not continue to be 500,000, and the TEA designations will most probably change. For example, right now for the veterinarian clinic and for Great Greek, we have some really good locations, amazing locations that do qualify as TEA right now. So, those locations, we might continue to offer direct EB5 even after the new rules, but those locations, prime locations like that might not be available at that point. So without further ado, Evan,
Sure.
Hi, Evan.
Hi. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course.
So
Evan, let me just try to bring out the brochure, okay? So give me one moment here, so that people can actually see. Just give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Evan?
okay. Good morning. So the thought process and thesis behind Your Vet was pretty simple. During COVID, there's been a tremendous change in lifestyle, in particular in New York City, where I reside, where because of people now working remotely, not going to their, to offices, going into the work hybrid model where they go on 1 day a week or 2 days a week, but generally at home, there's been a tremendous amount of increase in demand to purchase both dogs and cats. And along with that becomes the need to take care of those pets. And pets today in this country became part as a member of the family, and they became like children, and people will spend every last dollar on the health of their pet. That being said, if you look at the model that's around in New York City as an example, and many other large urban markets throughout the country, are urgent care centers for humans. Now, a lot of those are obviously they're insurance-based models. People go in there. It's much easier than going to a doctor, to an office. You can go in if you have a sore throat, whatever it may be, and get taken care of, and not have the the wait time of going into an office, making an appointment, etc. So that being said, Your Vet is urgent care and primary care for pets, for dogs and cats. So the model itself, we have right now, we're opening 4 locations to start in New York City. They're in high density residential areas throughout Manhattan. We have 2 chief medical officers that I happen to know for 30 years. They've both have been practicing for over 40 years each. They're both surgeons, and they both went to Cornell Medical School, which is the #1 veterinary college in the United States. They both run practices. They've both been very successful, and they're very excited to join your vet to be in charge of overseeing the medical practice of your vet. So along with these two doctors, they will be, as we will be, going out to hire in each clinic. Each clinic will have 4 veterinarians that they will hire. They'll have 4 technicians, 4 handlers, 4 CSRs, 4 nurses, 5 receptionists. They'll have porters that'll be doing, cleaning. So the job creation in each clinic is very large. The hours of operation of these clinics are 8 to 8, 7 days a week. The weekends we may cut down a little bit just because of, it's the weekend, things might be a little quieter. So we may shave off 2 or 3 hours per Saturdays and Sundays. But generally, we're going to be open, obviously, 7 days a week. In these clinics, we're going to do all different types of treatments. And let me start from there. With, when you purchase a puppy, you're going to bring the dog in, as an example, to these clinics. The examination fee is $105, right? Just to start. Then there's vaccinations, there's blood work. We're going to do, obviously, x-rays, surgeries, like having a biopsy, having a mass removal, having skin tags removed. We're going to be doing dental cleaning for the dogs. So there's a lot of, we'll be euthanizing dogs when the dog has to be, unfortunately, put down. We'll be dispensing medications to the dog. So there's a lot of different profit centers in this business to generate earnings. We're also going to have telemedicine. So what this business is it's a disruptor model that is using technology and the latest state-of-the-art equipment to take patients away from the old line veterinary practices, just like the urgent cares for humans, and bring them to us. And we will be, not from a standpoint of bringing in the clients, the customers, we'll be using social media, Instagram, influencers, all different ways to bring and push the traffic to your vet. Now, how does this differ? And this goes back to what David was mentioning. A lot of businesses that an EB5 investor will invest in, they'll make generally, as an example, a franchise Dunkin' Donut, for instance, where you sell coffee. The cost of a cup of coffee is $1.50. In this scenario, the cost of an x-ray when your dog has an injury from, if it hurts its leg, is $1,000. The expectation in this model, each clinic we expect to see 40 patients a day. So you can look at the revenue that will be generated from this business, and it's a much different model. It's recession proof, it's COVID proof. People need this in good times, bad times. Pets, just like humans, get sick no matter what. So it's in my opinion, a much safer model. And because of the cost and the lack of insurance, people that own pets don't have insurance. There are very few insurance companies that are out there, and it generally runs like dental insurance in this country, where people don't carry it because it just doesn't pay to have it. We've looked at different models on a subscriber growth basis where you pay monthly fees. We don't like that model because we find that people don't want to see a recurring charge on their credit card bills every month. People come in, they pay for the treatment for their animal when they get sick. and then they leave. We get paid obviously right away upon treatment. So we don't run a big receivable. We're always being paid in full on the spot. So we don't have that risk either. The earnings of each clinic, we anticipate to earn in excess of $3 million net earnings after expenses per clinic. So the combined 4 clinics that you'd be investing in is going to earn over $12 million of earnings. Okay, so if you then go through the documents and you'll see that you own 0.75% of the overall entity, you're going to own, your interest is in the ownership of 4 clinics, not just 1. So we felt that was important because it mitigates, obviously, risk. And based on that, as David had articulated earlier, you'll be receiving a return of 15% on your capital. Our numbers are very conservative in how we've derived them. So, we happen to feel that these numbers are set to beat. So we think we'll be doing better than that, but we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, just the opposite. So that being said, this money, you'll be earning 15% per year. You are partners with us. So that goes back again to what David was saying. Why wouldn't you want to earn money on your capital, right? So the return is paid to you quarterly. So you'll have income while you wait, and for your visa to be adjudicated. So
Evan has a dog, and actually he had to pay crazy amount of money to take that dog to a vet. And that is how he came along this type of a business. So you can hear the dog there. He's a right, Evan?
Yes, correct. Yes, I took my dog. He hurt his leg. He jumped off the bed, hurt his leg. Went to an urgent care. It cost me the X-ray was $1,100. I couldn't believe it. It's a great model.
Right. So just to chip in here, both these projects, when we thought about them, I just want to take you through our thought process. When we thought about these projects, we were wondering, first and foremost, how can we structure something that, makes sense, not only gets you a green card. That's, of course, the priority for everyone. And that is basically the main basis of our structures. But it was also, you're investing all this money, you're waiting. Why not put this money to work for you? Why not generate some sort of a return for yourself? So besides that, we kind of then went to think, all right, what kind of businesses or what kind of brands would be able to actually generate enough cash for us to be able to buy the investor out after the conditional period? So we actually thought very long and hard and worked very hard to figure out where can we actually invest your money so that first and foremost, the jobs are created. Not every industry or not every restaurant or not every place is going to be able to create and keep 10 jobs for investor. You would be able to get returns on your investment, good returns, not just 1% or 2%. And the business would generate enough cash flow for us to be able to buy you out if you desire to do so. If you don't want to be bought out, if you want to continue invested because you like the returns, you like the business, you're more than welcome to continue your partnership with us for as long as you like. But after your conditional period, you will receive that option if you want to sell out or if you want to continue staying invested. And you have to offer it to us first. That's basically, we want you to offer those shares to us first before you go out there in the market and find another buyer. So this is basically the basis of the structure. And I can't stress it enough how important it is that the structure of the investment that you're making is an ownership structure, and that you have actually a team of people who are going to be able to stay on top of this business, manage it, oversee it, make sure it keeps compliant with EB5, make sure it keeps compliant with everything else, that it can keep the employees. It's not just about, you know, finding them. We are reputable companies here. We are US companies. So people have that job security when they come to work with on something that we have brought up. So there is quite a difference here. These are challenges that people have faced before in direct EB5, hence why everyone went into the regional center. It is almost impossible to do an EB5 deal on your own without either being here or having a team here who is going to take care of it. So that's basically what has been happening now, that a lot of providers of EB5 now think, all right, this is the only thing we can offer, so let us do this. Let us offer this to investors, because it's still at 500. It is still a great opportunity for every investor out there. Now, without further ado, we have Tom Flood. He is going to talk a little bit about the Great Greek brand, the restaurant industry, basically what the Great Greek is and why is it such a good brand to be invested in. And he's going to also be available at the end for further questions for you. So we're going to have him talk to you a little bit about all of this. Just stop sharing. Okay.
Hello, my name is Thomas Flood. I'm the Vice President for United Franchise Group, and I want to thank you for your interest in the Great Greek franchise. We're very pleased to be working with the expert American Immigration Group because their knowledge and experience in the field of the EB5 investor program is second to none. Now today, I'd like to talk to you about our company, United Franchise Group, and provide you an overview of the Great Greek franchise opportunity for your consideration. Now, the Great Greek is a fast casual Mediterranean grill. It's been operating successfully for over 8 years, and now we're offering franchises to qualified investors. The Great Greek is part of a much larger organization, collectively known as the United Franchise Group. Now, United Franchise Group was started in 1986 with a single franchise. Today, United Franchise Group has 10 franchise brands in 80 countries worldwide. We've been building successful franchises for over 35 years. We're very proud to be the first franchise in the history of franchising to win the E Award. This is an award that recognizing exporting of US goods and services into global markets. This is actually the highest award the United States government can give to any American exporting company. We've actually won it twice, so we're very proud of that. Now, I also want to talk to you about franchising. So, because if you didn't know, franchising is a very powerful business strategy. Basically, franchising offers the ability to have higher success rate versus an independently owned and operated business. And here are a few of those reasons why. The first is that brand recognition is ultra important to growing a successful brand. Of course, that time-tested training our investors and our partners for the most important aspects of growing and running a successful business. That continuous support from a franchisor that has a vested interest in the success of the brand across the country and around the world. Leveraging mass purchasing power to increase the profitability and the bottom line across the entire system. And then co-op advertising to help build the brand overall in multiple markets. And ideally, one of the biggest factors we look for before franchising and making sure that we have a successful, proven business model. And the Great Greek is exactly that. Now, really what has excited us about the Great Greek is that bounce back effect after the pandemic of the industry itself, according to the National Restaurant Association, is looking to grow at about 11% in 2021 to about $732 billion. The nice part about it is the fast casual segment is the fastest growing segment of the restaurant industry. Now, fine dining is down, and it makes sense because most cases, consumers these days, they want to be able to get in and out of a restaurant very quickly without sacrificing quality of food. That's exactly what the Great Greek offers. Let's talk about the Great Greek story for a second, because they have an interesting story. We were actually founded in 2012 by a Greek Armenian family in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, the two gentlemen you see in the picture took the company over in 2016 and really took the business to a whole new level. We've been working with them since 2018 to franchise. We now have over 27 locations open and operational and over 100 in development across the US. Among our accolades, we've been recognized as the best of Las Vegas 4 years in running. Now, if you know anything about the restaurant industry in Las Vegas, you know this is a big deal and quite an accomplishment for any restaurant. Now, one of the keys to having a successful restaurant, of course, is location. We have an in-house real estate team that uses a lot of data, analytics, and decades of experience to find the best location in any market. Now, this could be in a standalone location like you see here, or it could be in a strip mall and a shopping center as well. Our footprint average is about 17 to 2,000 square feet. So it's a very attainable location size in many markets across the US. This happens to be the second location that we opened in Blue Dime in Las Vegas. And like many others, we were able to increase and maximize our space by having outside seating as well. Now, the interior design is open and bright. It's got a vibrant atmosphere. It lends itself to be comfortable for families and business people alike, or just customers on the go that want to grab takeout and take it home with them, which obviously these days is very important. The layout is actually strategically set up for what they call the fast casual model. Now, the way we've designed the Great Greek is so that the customer is provided with a number after they're placing the order. Then our staff delivers the food to their table. So there's no getting up and down with the customer. And once their meal is complete, we even bus the tables. And what this does is provide a very clean and relaxed atmosphere for the customer. But what it does for you as a business owner is build an efficiency for turning tables over while keeping the restaurant clean at the same time. And there's no lingering people around the counter waiting for their food like you see at so many other restaurants. Let's talk about the most exciting thing about the Great Greek, the food. Now, we only use fresh, top quality ingredients. Almost everything on our menu is made from scratch and cooked to order for each customer. Let's take a look at some of the menu items that are really popular. This is our #1 seller. It's our Great Greek gyro. And it comes served here with what we call feta fries, which are delicious and hot. Our #1 selling appetizer is our signature hummus dish, which is also made in-house. We also have 3 other dips that are made fresh every day for our customers. One of our top dishes is our Great Greek salad. All the ingredients are freshly chopped and prepared throughout the day. And this could be served with chicken on top. It could be shrimp. It could be steak. Very popular dish and a very healthy alternative. Another portion of our menu revolves around our souvlaki skewers, which are typically steak, lamb, chicken, and shrimp. And these are usually served over our famous rice pilaf. And let's talk about our desserts, because all of our desserts are made in-house. And they're delicious. On the upper right hand of your screen, you see our baklava. Upper left is mama's rice pudding, and your bottom right is corbetta cookies. Very, very consistent Greek desserts. On your left-hand side is our famous homemade baklava ice cream. This is where we take our baklava cookies, we crush them and turn them into ice cream, refreeze them, and then serve them as a dessert. This is our signature dessert, and many people come in just for this item. But of course, our menu is very diverse, authentic, healthy Greek recipes, offers something for everybody, including the little kids. So this is very family friendly. It lends itself to everybody from business lunches to dinners at home. Also, keep in mind as you look at the menu, everybody's cooked a burger or made a sandwich at home. Most people go out for Greek food here in the US. And it's very popular because it's a very healthy choice. This is the healthy choice that people are looking for. I'm sure you know the Mediterranean diet is heart healthy to start with, helps reduce heart disease and other chronic ailments. And as you might know, this is a trend in the food industry right now. And it's been trending for many years, and we can see it continuing to trend upward over time. One of the other advantages to the Great Greek is that we actually have a business within a business because we offer a very appealing catering menu. We do lots of catering. We actually have an entire marketing strategy around building the catering business for you. It's highly profitable and helps build business quickly and rapidly over short periods of time. Of course, the catering is also tied into the personal website. So somebody can log on to the website, learn more about our menu. They can even call ahead or place an order online and see the different recipes that we offer. Now, the website also ties very well into our aggressive marketing strategy, which includes social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter and Yelp. And we use it to also promote the restaurant through our delivery services, which were very helpful in keeping us very successful over the past year and a half. So we partner with Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, or whatever the local delivery service is that we can deliver food, delicious food to our customers, and it's still hot and ready to eat. Now, one of the things we've done as a franchise to make this a very profitable and efficient business is to negotiate our delivery with Cisco systems. Cisco is the largest food distribution company in the US, and they supply all of our ongoing fresh food and supplies. Now, what's key about this is it makes it a one-stop shop for all your supplies. You get chain pricing, and it's as simple as it gets. You don't need to hire an outside purchasing manager to order your different foods from different vendors. It's a one-stop shop to provide efficiency and effectiveness and profitability for the franchise. As far as profitability, as you can see, the Great Greek is shown to be very consistent and very profitable. Each location is assigned a business advisor to manage and keep costs in line. We keep the payroll in line, we keep the cost of goods in line, and we analyze it and make sure that these factors are consistent across all of our locations. United Franchise Group believes in offering a turnkey business opportunity. Turnkey really means that we handle every aspect from start to finish from the business perspective, from finding and designing and building out locations to hiring and staffing and training the employees. We even go so far as to launch a very robust grand opening. We include a ribbon cutting ceremony. We invite your families and your friends and local businesses and even key influencers from the local area to join as well. The Great Greek is growing at a rapid pace, and we're looking forward to talking to you about the profitable opportunity with the Great Greek. I really want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Tom. Well, that was Tom. Tom is here and he's available for questions if you guys have any other questions. So just to kind of wrap up, I'm then going to go back and kind of ask every one of the panelists if they would like to add anything to all of this. Just to wrap up, basically, what you have here in both deals are groups of professionals that are going to make this happen for you, right? You don't have to worry about so many different things that go into building a successful business. Now, the other thing that I want to tell you is that the EB5 amount is going to go up. We don't know if it's going to happen on the 3rd. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. It's never been increased since 1990. So it is bound to increase in the amount. If EB5 is something you want to do, if this has been a plan of yours for a long time, I see people here that I've spoken with maybe 8-9 months ago. It is the time to do it. This isn't going to continue for much longer. So with that, having said that, I will ask any of the panelists if they would like to add anything else to this, and we will be open for questions. So if anyone has any questions, please write them down on our chat here, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. And if I've forgotten to talk about something, if you have any questions, not only about the projects, but about EB5 and anything like that, please let me know. And I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, we have a Q&A here. All right, we have one question here. Can an escrow account be used for EB5 investment? Now, I am not sure what the question is, so if you could please just clarify. Are you saying that your funds are in an escrow account and you want to invest those funds from the escrow account? I'm not sure I understand your question, so please clarify that.
Hugh, maybe I could respond to that.
Yes, sure, go ahead, dear.
Okay, well, we've always had escrow in all of our EB5 projects, especially as we were doing regional center. That was standard practice. We've worked for years with Signature Bank, who are professionals in handling EB5 funds, escrow accounts, etc. As Q mentioned in the beginning, EB5 Direct is so much different than the regional center. Funds come in, they're going to be used fairly rapidly once we move forward. We've discussed this with Signature Bank, and Signature Bank agreed there was no real need to go through the process of having the funds come into. Signature Bank agreed there was no real need to go through the process of having the funds come into. Signature Bank agreed there was no real need to go through the process of.
I don't know what is happening.
Signature Bank agreed there was no real need to go through the process.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you, but why is it repeating what I'm saying?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Keep
Can
going.
Okay, so just to move this forward, we agreed with Signature Bank there was no need to have an actual escrow account and then actually go through the process of transferring it to the operating account. So what we did is we eliminated the escrow account. Your funds are going directly into an operating account. However, Signature Bank is doing all of the same controls as if it was also an escrow account. Funds come in, it's reviewed by Signature Bank as far as the details of the investor, and nothing will be released until it's all approved. So in a way, the operating account is pretty much operating like an escrow account. So
Right.
That's about what I could say about it.
I think this question can also be used as, someone asking if their money are in some sort of an escrow account, can they use that money to do EB5?
If their money,
it depends, right? It depends from that escrow and what the terms are and in whose name it is, right? Because you need to prove that the money is yours, and you need to prove where that money came from to the US government. So it really depends on the type of escrow account that is. So we've answered this question both ways. I'm not sure. All right. I don't think we have any further questions. This has been recorded, and we are. Okay, we have another question. Hello, what are the other charges and costs other than the 500,000? I'm assuming that is. So The other costs are the following. You have a $70,000 administration fee, and then you have to pay your immigration attorney. If you have an immigration attorney, we work with all immigration attorneys. If you don't, we can refer you to some really good immigration attorneys in the industry. But that amount basically varies from attorney to attorney, and also varies or depends on your source of funds. So it depends how difficult your source of funds is going to be to put together. So that amount could go anywhere from like, $20,000 to $30,000, but is paid in different phases. Basically, you pay, I believe most of them do source of funds first, then the I-526, then the I-829 after 2 years that you've been here. So these are all the expenses that are with this, that are basically related to your Eb5.
I think Q and David, a lot of people are going to get in touch with them independently, so we can discuss the processing and the start of the process, because we're familiar with a lot of the people that are here, but we want to be doing a more series of webinars to give them updates in terms of the projects, etc., and how much energy and effort goes into this. There's going to be a lot of questions for people individually in terms of their family, application, time frame, but we're happy to deal with them on an individual basis. I don't know if
absolutely. I think you all have our contact information. So just we can keep the conversation going for sure, because we were kind of like running late. Just send us a message with any questions that you have, and we'll be more than happy to answer them to you. I don't see if there is any more questions here. So
we have a question from the Facebook link in terms of the deadline, in terms of 3rd of December deadline. How long would it take for source of funds, etc.?
Well, that actually depends on you, right? So this is something that we've been saying all the time. If you're not sure about where you want to invest, if you're sure that you want to do Eb5, get an attorney, do your source of funds, have that ready, because that is what takes the most amount of time to do. So have that ready. That's very important. Okay. It can take a week, it can take 2 weeks, it can take 4 months. It all depends on where you got the money. So the source of funds is something that you need to discuss with an attorney, and you need to have an attorney engaged to work on it. So you only basically need to be ready. If this is something that you seriously consider doing, you need to be ready. So then when an opportunity comes that is a good opportunity, you can just jump on it. Sam, do we have any other questions?
In terms of the projections, how do we know we will stick to, how do we make sure we hit the projections on the business plan? I think that's a question that was put forward, unless you've answered that.
Okay. DF, would you like to answer that, or Evan?
I will.
Please.
Yes, I think I would. Yes. Actually, if you read our brochure, we carefully describe the potential return, and we try to be very conservative, and we say 12 to 16%. That's based on, of course, the revenue that we are projecting in each of these projects. There's no question that it's going to take us, from the time you make your investment and we move forward with each of the projects, it's going to take 4 to 5 months to develop the actual locations, build them out, bring in all the equipment, and we will start operation, let's say in 5 months, 4 or 5 months. We don't think we're going to reach peak revenue during the first 6 months. If we estimated, we say maybe we would be at 50% in 6 months. But once the 6 months is passed after our opening, we think the following year, we're going to be very close to reaching stabilization. So it's actually in the second year that I think we'll get closer to the 15 or 16%. But it may be in the first year, it's only going to be 12 or 13%. That's exactly why we give you a range. And again, we think we're giving you a conservative range. We believe full stabilization is going to bring maybe more than 15% or 16%. So that's the best we can answer. We don't like to promise something that we can't be sure of until we're actually running with the project. And we're all very anxious to get started. Thank you.
I think DF and Q, a lot of people think this deal is too good to be true in terms of once they do the comparison in the market on what percentage. So they're feeling that, you know, a lot of people are thinking that, you know, how much risk is American Immigration Group taking into this? Is it solely the risk from the investors? I think they really want to hear it from you, being the CEO firsthand, how much AIG is investing into this and why you're predicting these numbers. And you didn't just pluck these figures out the air. You took a lot of time to come up with these figures.
Of course.
And why you're so confident on this.
Of course, we went back and forth continuously as we built this structure to actually come up with what the investment's going to be from the investor. We talked about we're putting a lot of our energy, time, experience into developing this. We even talked about what possible equity in actual funds we ourselves would put in. And when we came to a conclusion that this project is 90% for the investor to come in with his intentions to proceed with an EB5 submission. And therefore, most of the funds have to come in from the investor in order to be used in the project so that they could go through the process and get their approval. If we would put more money in, then we may not be able to use all your money when it has to be. It didn't make any sense. So what we tried to do is develop the project where we can get as many investors into the project. And we came out with the job creation. We felt conservatively, we can bring in 6 investors for 4 locations. And that was our thinking on how to structure this. Frankly speaking, sometimes we were even criticized. Why are you giving so much of a return to the investor? Nobody else is. Well, honestly, we laughed at that. We put ourselves in your shoes and said, look, you're putting up a lot of your own money. It's your business like it's our business. And yeah, we could have said we'll work it out so you only get 2 or 3%, but we didn't think that was fair. We came to the conclusion that no, 10% would have probably been more than sufficient. We said, let's make a mistake and let's offer 15% so that the investor can feel like he's really part of the business. And that was our thinking. We think, and we're not even supposed to say it, but honestly, we think that these are 2 very, very safe projects. That's our opinion.
So DF, me and Q get this a lot of the time. People think when they look at a franchise, the license fee is 100,000, 50,000. They feel that they can do this themselves, but they don't realize that the investor feels that they can actually create the jobs themselves, set up a locations. They don't realize how much energy and effort and the time that's spent on this. Because again, EB5 is about getting their returns, getting their money back, and getting their green card. The people that think that they can set up their own franchise, what advice would you give to them? What would you say to them? Because everybody thinks, oh, I can just live the American dream, invest my own money. But why would they work with AIG rather than do it themselves?
Well, to be quite frank about it, the amount of time, work, and effort is monumental. Both projects require a lot of management, a lot of time.
Mhm.
And my experience is a lot of investors we talk with, they're interested in getting their green card.
Yeah.
Yes, they want to partake in some of the equity and return, but they don't want to spend the time on being at the business day in and day out to run such a business. Can it be done? Probably it could be done. I don't know how easy it would be to go into a business like these two. The franchise business is very complicated.
Mhm.
And as Q mentioned, not so easy to get approved. If you would see what we're going through to prove our financial wherewithal, they don't want to know about the investor that's coming in, that they know they don't even know where he's going to be living or where he's going to be. They want to know what is our financial wealth? What is our background? Have we been successful in business? That's the only way we're going to be able to convince the franchisor to go with us and have all of these foreign nationals come in and be partners with us. So is it possible? Maybe, but I don't think it's worthwhile. We're already paying a very substantial return to you.
Mhm.
You're not going to earn that much more on your own,
Yeah.
is my opinion. Evan, you want to say something?
Sure. As far as your vet, these are medical hospitals. You have to comply with state laws, regulatory laws that are in place to protect the public. It's a very gated business to be in. So it's almost impossible to open this type of hospital up. You need doctors that have experience because you're dealing with a medical practice. You need to be able to officiate over all of these vets that you're hiring, because the most important part of your vet is the quality of the medical care. The most important part of this company is to provide the best quality care possible to the patients. And that's what will drive the business. So someone just can't walk into this and find the chief medical officers that we have in place with their backgrounds. Okay, you can't replicate it. If you walk into some of these other veterinary practices, they don't have that caliber of expertise. So that right away, you can't. It is very hard to emulate. This is a supply-demand issue for your vet.
Okay.
There's a tremendous amount of supply. We anticipate to have over 40 patients a day. You can do the math at $105 and the initial office visit, the examination, and you can easily get to the numbers as David was just articulating on why we feel that the numbers are going to wind up being, conservative, but that's what we would rather be, is conservative. This is a stable business model. There's very little, we don't find this to be a bumpy business. So it grinds every day. People come in, it's not you're not manufacturing goods overseas and bringing them into this country, and you're stuck with supply chain issues and all sorts of problems that go along with that, and whether a customer is going to pay for the goods when it finally arrives, if the customer is still going to be there when the goods arrive. Here it's just every day we get paid in full. End of story. It's a phenomenal business model that's conservative, and good times, bad times. Pets get sick.
Yeah, well, both these industries, good time, bad times, pets get sick, and good time, bad times, people need to eat. And especially the American culture, people like to order.
We have a question for Evan in terms of recruitment retention. in the veterinary industry for doctors? What is the retention, average retention in the vet for job?
I think I can answer that, Sam, because I think we have also a couple of more questions here on the.
We're going to be here all night, so you're going to have a lot of questions if we carry on.
Look, let me, I'll take care of that.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so the way that we're going to retain, first of all, the doctors, the 2 chief medical officers will be interviewing and hiring all of the vets, all of the medical staff, because they have the knowledge in this and the 40 years of experience each in this practice, and they're top tiered surgeons. So that being said, what we're offering them will be, what we're going to offer prospective doctors to come on board will be to incentivize them with equity. So we want the doctors that we bring on board to become owners, equity owners, like the investors, like us in the practice, so that it will keep them, they'll work harder, they'll feel secure, they'll be a part of it. It's an opportunity for them to have ownership in a practice. It also gives David and I the ability to move these doctors around Manhattan, because you can be either a cab ride or a subway ride away from each location. So if we find that one location is getting swamped with customers, with patients, and we need more help there, being that these doctors will be in that same position of ownership of those 4 units, we'll move them from that. We'll move them from, as an example, from the Upper East Side of Manhattan over to the Chelsea location to help out and take care of the added burst of activity that needs to be done. So
and not just that, but I want to mention here that, for example, in the veterinarian industry, these jobs are career jobs. People go to college to get these jobs. So once they're in, they don't tend to change these jobs very often. In the restaurant industry, you get employees that is not that hard to find, right? So they both have their own pros into job retention, basically employment and job retention. The other thing we want to mention here is, because we're getting more questions, the other thing that Evan was saying is, from an operational standpoint, basically, if there's one investor, one location, you're going to have different problems, shortage of staff, someone calls out, someone is sick, someone decides to leave all of a sudden. So what do? From an operations standpoint, when you are invested in 4, so there's 4 different restaurants by the same company, you can move people around, you can have coverage here, you can have coverage there. Basically, it works. It also spreads your risk into 4 different locations, financial and otherwise. So it works very well. We ran different models, and this was a model that actually worked very well. Now I'm going to move on to the next question. I have Mr. Boda. Nice to see you're here. You have 2 questions here. First question is, the amount to be invested has to be done at one time, or can it be in stages as it is direct investment? What would the process of investment be, basically? All right, Mr. Boda, I have said this before and I will say this again. We are willing to work with you. So this is on an investor by investor basis. This is not a rule that we can come up and say, this is what you do. You need to really tell us your financial situation. You need to have the immigration attorney involved as well to see if he's able to file your petition with with partial payments. We need to create a schedule. That schedule has to go to USCIS with your petition to tell them, I'm going to invest this amount in this month, this amount on this month. The one thing I can tell you is that on a direct investment like this, where your money is being used right away to actually go and build these locations, we don't have that much time that we can give you. Time is limited, right? We can't just go endlessly into this. We can subscribe you can start sending the money, and maybe you'll go in the next offering that we have for the same project or the same brand with different locations. But these are moving very quickly. We are getting tremendous interest out there. We're getting investors who are coming in, funding. So it's going to be a one-on-one type of a thing that we need to discuss. And your other question is, what would be the taxes to be paid on the return of the investment, please? What stage is the franchise outlet development is in, and how long it will take to get the business running? So the taxes, while you're overseas, there will be no tax withheld for you because you're not a US citizen or resident. Once you get your I-526 approved and you come here, that is when you're going to actually pay income taxes. Depending on your income, you'll be placed on an income tax bracket. So it depends from person to person how much tax you're actually going to pay on this return, okay? Now, what stage is the franchise outlet development in? We have found the locations, made sure that they are TEA locations for both projects. So the next stage is basically negotiating the leases. We always look for more than the amount of locations that we need, just in case we have a disagreement on the lease. So we actually decide later on in which one to go in. How long it will take the business running. By the way, just so you know, the Great Greek, they already have 22 locations open. They have 160 other locations under that are going to be opening very soon. So it's been going on for a long time. And then how long it will take to get the business running. Our projections are basically in 4 to 6 months the most. And I think David Finkelstein already spoke about this and kind of explained the stages in which we were going to go to just have it open. So it goes, you know, there is quite a few stages that we need to follow. We have another question here. How many time will be stay in 500,000? So I'm assuming you're asking, how long will the amount stay at 500,000? We don't know. There's just no way to know. No one knows. There is something coming up in December 3rd that might increase the amount. We don't know for sure. So this is not something that we can predict, unfortunately. And there is no clear guidelines out there to really tell us, you know, this is what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. It depends on the Congress. It depends if the Congress decides to look at it now on December 3rd. If they do decide, there's talk that it might go to 750 or it might go back to the 900,000. But there is nothing that I can tell you for certain that's going to happen.
I think the audience need to understand the investment can only go up. It can't go down. So it's not a stock market.
Correct.
So this is the lowest it's going to be.
This is the lowest it's ever going to be.
I think a question for Mr. David Finkelstein in terms of he's done the regional center and now it's on the direct. What's his view in terms of the direct project compared to the regional center?
Very good question. As I said, I've been mainly involved for all these years. 1 second, let me just. Mainly involved in regional center. This is first time we've got involved with direct. It's a hard question to answer, but to be truthful about it, I'm not just saying it. I think I like direct better than I like regional center. And part of the reason is it's more direct contact with the investor. It's being involved with families, knowing what they are looking to do. Whereas the regional center, it's big. You know, most of the projects were, the smallest one I can remember is 50 investors. We did 100 to 300 investors per project. There was really no personal contact like I feel with the direct. And from my point of view, I like the direct contact with the people, the investors, and we like to develop a relationship. So my answer would be direct. I like it better.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that these investors are going to be our partners. We're going to be together on this for a really long time. Not a really long time, but a long time. So basically, there is going to be a relationship built here, and that is something that we are looking forward to. Definitely.
Can I just add something on the regional center side also, if you
Sure.
don't mind? But so in comparing these businesses as an example, to a regional center program where investor puts money into a real estate development project, okay? So the money goes into a capital stack where in today's climate, where you're faced with the possibility of a recession in the US economy, you're faced with inflation, higher cost for materials, higher interest rates. You're not sitting as an investor in a regional center project in a very good position, because what's going to happen is, and also it's hard to get construction labor, okay? You're going to wind up having the budgets, the construction budgets and the construction timelines are all going to be pushed out. And the developer is going to be in need of fresh new capital, which means that the foreign national investor in the EB5 is going to have to subordinate to that new money coming in. And based on that, the EB5 investor is going to be now at even greater risk, okay, on a real estate development. And chances are that will be very problematic for the foreign national to be able to get the return of their invested capital. So that happens to be, going forward, a very risky endeavor. And I agree with David. These are businesses that are recession proof and are of top quality and stable and conservative. And that's why these projects make much more sense for any foreign investor, any investor period actually, to be involved in over a regional center development. Everyone thinks that as an investor in that, you own the property. You don't. The property goes to the senior lender, which would be the bank.
All right. Well, it depends from structure to structure, really, the regional center, but it's much more less involvement from everyone on the regional center project, and a lot more things are outside of our hands. But it really just everything has a pro and a con if you go to look into it so deep. The good thing about us is that we really want to pay attention to what we put out there, what we put the investors in, and how we develop these businesses, be regional center or direct. But this is a lifetime opportunity right now. We do like direct a lot. It does require of us much more than a regional center does. We have to actually hire more people and create more teams to run these businesses and to oversee them, and myself involved, and David and all of us, our time and effort go into this. But in general, we are proud of our projects and our structures. So, you know, it really just something that we prefer is to have that close relationship with the investors. Now I have one more question. We have time for one more question. I'm going to answer that, and then I think we're going to wrap it up for today.
We just have one more. You can answer your one. I just have one more question for the
okay, because I have one sent to me, and it says, what is the maximum number of dependents that I can come to America with? There is no minimum or maximum number of dependents. EB5 is husband and wife and any children under the age of 21. So it doesn't matter how many children there are, as long as they are under the age of 21, they will all be they will all get the EB5 visa under one investment. Sam, what is your question?
Yeah, so the question coming from Facebook is, for the panelists, what is a good EB5 direct project?
Our projects.
Well, yes, that was a quick answer. I want to hear the panelists.
Our project. Okay. A good EB5 direct project is a project that actually gives you ownership. The one thing that is for sure is, see, a regional center project can be structured in different ways. preferred equity, loan, all kinds of things, right? When you're talking about direct investment, you just have to think in terms of a business. What do you have to do to open a business and have 10 people working in a business? So the structure, the best direct EB5 project would be something that gives you ownership, because if you go into the guidelines of EB5 Direct by USCIS, you're going to see that the only thing that it's clear there in terms of structure is ownership. They don't clear preferred returns. They don't clear loans. They clear ownership. A loan and a preferred return are regional center structures. So you want to look into something that can give you ownership, into a project where there is a team of people that's going to deal with developing that business while you're not here, and also when you're here, and is going to make sure that it works, that actually has a vested interest in that business to work, like we do. Our vested interest is not just the amount of people on payroll that we have to put into these projects to make them work, but also we don't make any money if you don't, period, the end. So we have a really big vested interest into these projects, and also a project that is going to create the jobs. If anyone out there is telling you that construction jobs can count on direct EB5, not true. And it's never going to be true. If anyone is telling you out there that indirect jobs can count in indirect EB5, not going to happen. Jobs are absolute. You need to actually make sure that that business, that location is going to need these people to operate. Because if it doesn't, it's not going to create new jobs. Okay, you need to create new jobs and maintain them until conditions are removed from your green card. So these are the best EB5 projects, and it's just about, they're both structured the same. You have 6 investors in 4 locations. It's about your taste and your level of being comfortable with whichever project you want to go with, and we would welcome you. Would love to have you on board for any other additional. DF, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I think, we said so much, and I don't want to bore all these people anymore. I think that they understand the project very well.
Right.
I believe we've made our point, and we're here to answer any questions that can come up afterwards, and we look forward to working with all of them.
Absolutely. I think this went on for a bit longer than it was planned, but I hope you guys got information, that you guys feel that you had your questions answered. And if there is any other questions that you would like to ask us, please feel free to reach out to us. Most of you that I see here already are in a group chat with us on WhatsApp, so feel free to ask any questions that you have.
I can't give a name out, but someone wants us to start the process with them. So after this webinar, we'll be in touch with you straight away.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
good news.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you, Evan, David, Tom. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time being here today. I know you guys are all 3 of you are very busy. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you to our clients that are here in this webinar. I appreciate your time. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Thank you, Sam, for putting this together. And
Thank you.
everyone, have a great day ahead, okay?
All right,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.